Welcome to B Cube Sunday morning. It could be an interesting morning because there is the joy that comes from doing these podcasts, setting up with the wonderful guests that we are generally blessed with. Now, today we are blessed with Jim Wright and David Gerrold. Now, there's a minor glitch here. They are also being blessed by being at MisCon. MisCon is a wonderful convention that's going on right now in Missoula, Montana. And the as we all know, there's one thing you can count on at a convention, and that is not everything goes as planned. Sometimes the internet's not there. Sometimes the connections. I can remember last year doing this at MisCon where I was a dealer with Jim and David there, and it took us about 20 minutes to get set up. Now, in this case, I am confident that right now at MisCon, David is sitting at his computer, calmly looking at it, saying they'll get this straight pretty quick and typing away on his latest short story or book or essay or reason why we should vote. Jim, being the technical guy he is probably laboring frantically to fix this with con staff that are saying, wow, for an old man, he knows a lot of stuff. But where we are at, let me straighten my camera so that I don't give any of you people vertigo. I am going to do this. I'm going to go look and see what's on the chat with people, and maybe we'll figure out what's going on. But in the meantime, we have got all of the joy of the B Cube Sunday morning. Now, when I say that I love B Cube Sunday morning, it's because there is always something going on. For example, right now, I have this in front of me. This is Madam President. This has got a release date of June 1st. I'm sorry. I just read Barbara's comment. It is funny when you talk about that. I mean, those of us with gray hair and are balding, well, sort of balding, people don't realize that we watched the computers come in. And like anybody who's ever done a complex program, if you were in at the ground floor of, say, pick a program, one of those photo editing. If you pick it up today and know nothing, you are like overwhelmed with how complicated this program is. But if you have been there through every version of it going forward, sometimes it's like, okay, that's not so bad. Oh, minor change here. And the next thing you know, you're sitting there doing stuff that people are saying, oh my God. And I'm sure Barb is there with that. As she said, if I don't know how to do something, I Google it. She got no kids to do her tech for her. Well, I used to have kids to do my tech for me, and they were wonderful kids, wonderful tech. And but then we all moved on. DOS. God bless DOS. I remember how proud I was of myself when DOS came out, and I wrote a basic program in DOS and BASIC to roll my D&D rolls for me so I could sit there and have my computer. And at the time I was thinking, "Oh my god, this is just so great," when what I really should have said, "So let me see this think this right. You're going to go build a program to roll dice for you uh, so that you can tap on a rubber plastic keyboard to roll dice instead of picking up plastic dice." Oh, look, it's David. Good morning.
Good morning. The time zones have confused me because my watch has one time zone and my computer has another, and here I am in Montana. God knows what time zone I'm in, and I'm
Oh,
still in the Cretaceous era.
it's okay. We were actually having a wonderful conversation here uh, about tech, something that came up because I said, David's probably sitting there right now while the techies are all trying to fix everything, saying, writing away on some essay, and Jim's probably working with the tech gods at the con, and
Well, I'm not
that
sure
while
where Jim is. I haven't seen him this morning, so
huh?
I don't know where Jim is. I haven't seen him this morning. I'm on the. I'm sitting at my dealer's table, but I have no customers right now. But if I mute myself, you'll know I have somebody who wants to spend thousands of dollars buying my soul. So I'm having a Sunday sale on my soul. So
Well, I am confident that wherever Jim is, he is groaning over his
he,
bicycling
well,
experiences in
Becky had a
Yellowstone.
touch of food poisoning or something, so he's taking good care of her. So I hope she's feeling
Ooh.
better this morning. So
Well,
anyway,
take a
I've
gander at the
already been
comment.
busy this morning. I got on the phone with a friend and got permission to murder him. So in a story. So one of my friends, I've decided he's a vampire, and I'm going to put a stake through his heart. But not having a stake, I'm going to use a Harry Potter magic wand.
Well, now that's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah.
Now there is something I should note. You guys saw me hold up this book here that is being released on June 1st.
Oh,
That
good.
is called Madam President. Now, if you were to pick that book up right now, it's available for pre-order on Kindle. David Gerrold is the opening author.
Oh God, I hate being the opening act. On the other hand, I don't have to follow Fink's mule, so it's okay.
Oh my God, Jim, you are great. I mean, what I feel sorry for is the guy that has to follow you. There's a British writer. We talk about him occasionally. His name is Liam Hogan.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
I love Liam's work, and I drive him nuts. And that's one of the fun parts about being an editor is I always give Liam my full attention in terms of comments and thoughts, and I can hear him groan through the just the ether as he reads them, and then he sends me back the nicest reason why he's not going to do this, that, or the other, uh, explaining to me in no uncertain terms, because he's a techie guy. So he follows you though. Now I got to admit, you wrote a story in here about a woman who is president or is dealing with it. I'm not going to
Yeah,
spoil the.
no spoilers. She's dealing with presidential level problems.
She's dealing with presidential level problems. His Madam President story is about the captain of a ship who is dealing with presidential level problems, in that a dominatrix on the lower decks has stolen all of or has obtained all of his teaspoons. And they're being British. You cannot have a proper cup of tea without a teaspoon to stir it. And his story is how he deals with that situation. And I find it fascinating. Fascinating enough, I put it right after David Gerrold because
Oh,
I wanted
good.
quality
Well,
So
you're a
I
good editor. You're a very good editor, and you come up with great concepts for anthologies. We lost Mike Resnick a few years ago, and he was great at coming up with concepts for anthologies. And I sold 13 stories to. He left me out of the 14th book because he forgot to send me an invite. Um, Otherwise, I would have been in all of the Resnick anthologies. So, but I published all of my Resnick stories in a collection called Alternate Gerrolds. But my point is you're my favorite editor now that Resnick is gone. You might have been
okay.
my
Now
favorite.
you realize
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
might have
cut
been my
that
favorite
quote.
editor even while he was still alive.
David Gerrold, you just made my day.
Oh, well, thank you. Just keep doing anthologies because if I do, every time I do enough short stories, I have another collection. So someday I'll have a Bob Brown collection. I don't have
I
the
look
time for it.
forward to it.
Yeah,
Now,
you
what?
gotta send me a list of the stories I've sold to you because I've forgotten it. I have I'm sitting at my dealer's table, and I have like only 3 novels here and 5 collections. So the collections sell very well. A lot of people like short stories. They're perfect when you're sitting on the toilet. So um,
Well,
I'm not going to complain.
that brings up one of you. I mean, we have you appearing coming up in a Karen Anderson short story. Or Karen Anderson is helping me edit an anthology, and I can
Is
tell
that the
you,
one? Is that the one where I have the trouble with dribbles?
yeah, it's a real pisser of a story.
Yeah. Let's not get into that.
But I can tell you this: yes, you are one of my favorite authors to
Oh,
have.
thank you.
But let's talk a little bit about what's going on. You're in MisCon right now, huh?
Yeah, MisCon is one of the best. It's run by a guy named Justin Barba who attends every day in a different costume, and he's great at costume. He is just, I don't recognize him. I see this thing walking down the halls, and oh, well, that's great cosplay. And then I take another look, and oh my God, that's the con chair. So, and he's just a really nice guy. And so anytime he invites me to MisCon, it's like, all right, I'm there. And the people here are just terrific. They're very friendly. If you see me looking up, it's because somebody is walking by with great cosplay. This is a great convention for cosplay. And so I'm in Montana, and I left Vermont where it was 80 degrees and arrived in Montana where it's 40 degrees, even though they're in the same latitude. And I'm very annoyed about that because I didn't bring a heavy coat because I figured, oh, Montana, May, it'll be warm. Yeah, they had snow the day before I arrived.
Well,
I'll never make that mistake again.
Montana, I mean, if you don't like the weather in Montana, take a nap.
We say the same thing in Vermont. I will tell you, Vermont is beautiful, but because the weather is mercurial, it's like we can go to, we drive a few minutes to the store, and I don't recognize the road, even though we've been on it 100 times already. I don't, because the trees, one day they're bare, and the next day they're green, and the day after they're yellow, and it's like, sometimes they're white with snow, and from one day to the next, everything changes. So it's an adventure because you never know where you are in Vermont unless you have the GPS turned on. So,
I know there are little 2-lane roads everywhere.
Yeah, there's only one interstate in the entire state. It runs lengthwise, up and down, north south, and that was it. And everything else is 2 lanes, and but there's no traffic, so we don't have a problem with it. There's no traffic. The worst traffic we had was when the eclipse was over. We had to wait for 5 minutes for everybody else to get out of the way. There were like 20 cars ahead of us. It was like, oh, look, LA. No, LA is driving from one gridlock to the next.
I swear, I am so glad you got out of LA because I can tell you that I didn't ever spend near the kind of time you did in LA, but when I went to LA, it was like, get me out of here.
Well, when I grew up in LA, it was very rural. I mean, we grew up walking distance from a dairy, and there were farms everywhere. And just around the corner, Tex Ritter had a couple horses, and we'd see people, And then I bought a house farther out in the valley, and it was every bit as rural. And but that was 50 years ago. And what happened is, because the college got built up, people put up apartment buildings, and because they put up apartment buildings, people put up shopping malls. And next thing we knew, and it was a great place to raise a kid. Sean loved the neighborhood. He was able to get around, have a great time. But that was 30 years ago when he moved in with me. And one day last year, we just looked around and realized we have a parking problem. We have a traffic problem. We have a homeless problem. We have there's crowds everywhere. Everything is gridlocked. The two major intersections that we use to get out of our house are both gridlocked all the time. And Sean finally says to me, and we had been talking about moving it sometime this year. And early last year, Sean said, we got to go now. I can't take it anymore. And we looked around for our mental health more than anything else. We said, it's going to be a little bit of a stretch, and we're going to have to depend on some friends for a lot of help, but we can move this year if you can find the right house in Vermont. He found the perfect house. We really have a great place. We have forest on three sides of us and a lake in front of us. So it's very relaxing, very peaceful, very quiet. And I've been getting a lot of writing done. So it was the right move.
Oh, that's good, because we're going to have a special anthology coming up probably in about a year and a half. That is, you have inspired.
All right.
Well, it's inspired by Rainforest Writers Retreat, which is up on a great little lake in the Washington and Lake Quinault. But it's alternative lakefront stories.
Oh, good. Well, Vermont has already, if you'll take a reprint, Vermont has already inspired one story, which will be appearing in the next issue of Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. It's called Elf Storage. The S fell off the sign, and I was driving by. Elf Storage, what would and I thought, okay, I got a story for that. And it's just a cute little short story, and FNSF picked it up right away, and it's for their midsummer issue, which will probably be the one that's about to come out any day now. So I'm hopeful to see it. It's a fun little story, and you can have the reprint rights if you want. Otherwise, I'll come up with something new. So far, I'm the official lake watcher. So far, while I've been on duty, nobody has tried to steal the lake. And I'm out there watching every day to see if a hand comes up holding a sword. But so far, no luck.
Well, now what on the sword thing? What's the rule there? Does the grandkid get dibs on it, your son or you?
Whoever gets to it first. Now, it'd probably be Sean, because that water's cold, and he'll have to take the boat to go out and get the swords.
Now, what kind of boat you got? You keep a lake canoe?
Just a little boat with 3 or 4 seats and a outboard motor on the back, which is perfect for fishing.
Sweet.
Just a little boat.
Now, what kind of fish you catch?
All we need. Nothing yet, but that's why they call it fishing, not catching.
Oh man.
We have not so far. We have to pick up some fishing gear, so that's our next on our to-do list. So we'll
get yourself a little Zebco 202, a hook, a weight, and a box of worms. And it's fun.
Yeah. Well, the idea fishing is it's good meditation, and Sean really needs the peace and quiet, and so do I. I'll put on the headphones and listen to music and just sit quietly. Sean is really in hog heaven. He's just having a great time with the responsibility. He's taken on the responsibilities he enjoys, and I have a lot of writing time, and Elise is just working 24/7 to make sure the kids are well taken care of. We're all having a lot of fun with the kids, so it's all working out really nice. It's I still can't believe how well everything has worked out, because most of my life I was struggling from one thing to the next, making the payments, raising Sean, and because living in LA, everything seems to be a struggle. Where we are in Vermont, I don't feel a struggle anymore. So, and I feel a little bit, I feel very lucky, but at the same time, I recognize I'm living a life of privilege, and I really feel just a smidge of guilt that I'm feeling so privileged while other people are still struggling. So it's a question of what can I do to be of service to other people who are still in the struggle to how do we get, and to get political, how do we get back to an economy where the working class and the middle class are not struggling every day, not worrying about paying the bills, not worrying about putting savings aside, not worrying about healthcare, not worrying about can I afford to send the kids to college, not worrying about will I have enough to retire, not worrying about simply making this month's rent or mortgage. How do we get back to an economy like when my dad, he'd go to work 5 days a week, and my mom could stay home and take care of the house and raise the kids, and he put money away for retirement and savings, and he was able to buy a new car every few years. And the middle class when I was growing up was wealthy by today's standards. By today's standards, the middle class is hurting badly. How do we get back to that economy? And we're not going to do it by voting for a con man. We got to do it by voting for somebody who at least knows the mechanics of government and who has an understanding that the only way we can make it as a nation is to take care of the actual people who roll up their sleeves and go to work. The corporations and the billionaires are not helping the economy. The economy is, look at the lowest class of workers in the economy, and if they are making it okay, your economy is healthy. If your lowest class of workers is struggling from day to day, and if you have a poverty problem, your economy is badly structured, badly put together. And I'll give you an example. Right now, our structure of our economy is worse than it was before the French Revolution in 1789, when the aristocrats owned everything, the peasants owned nothing, and the result was the guillotines in front of the Bastille. Our economy is so off balance to the rich right now. It's worse than the that triggered the French Revolution. And so I'm looking up plans for a guillotine on the internet. That's what we have that they didn't have in 1789. It's plans for a guillotine. It's getting the right size blade.
You're scaring me, David, because you know what? I have other slightly better thoughts that I would start before the guillotine. Well, yeah, that is the notion that when there is profit, okay, you have an option. You can pay taxes on that profit, or you can reinvest it back into the company and build the company, and you're better off giving your workers a pay raise and in keeping with their increased productivity. I've always looked at the productivity.
Yeah, you're right. When workers have money to spend, they buy it on goods and services. They buy televisions and refrigerators. They buy houses and cars. If workers don't have enough money, they don't buy anything. And so if the corporations were really committed to being profitable, they would want their employees to be making a living wage. And the minimum wage established by FDR was always supposed to be a living wage. There was never any question. And I know because one of my uncles helped set it up. And the problem is that the minimum wage has not been raised in years. Even if it were raised to $17 an hour, it wouldn't be enough. The minimum wage has to rise at the same rate as inflation rises. It has to be built into the economy. And right now, the minimum wage, if it were on a par with what FDR established in the 30s, it would be about $30, $35 an hour. And you know what? Listen to the corporations scream. I don't care if if your head is making $40 million a year and he's got a severance package of $50 million a year, you can afford, and it's up to the billions now. And if you can afford that kind of money to pay your CEOs and your top executives, you can afford that kind of money to pay a living wage, a true living wage to your employees. because they're the ones who are making the wealth. It's not the guy at top making the wealth. He makes a few decisions, but the real wealth is generated. You look at let's say a Disney animated film. The real wealth is generated by the guy sitting at the board animating Sleeping Beauty or Snow White. The real wealth is generated by the guys who are out there making sure it gets into the theaters. The real wealth is the people who design the merchandise that it gets in the stores. The real wealth is done by the people on the bottom levels, not on the top levels. And if we have an economy that doesn't recognize that it's the people who roll up their sleeves, and I'm something of an entrepreneur. I sit at home and write. I generate my own wealth. And I look around at a convention, and there are artists here who paint. They're generating their own wealth. There are people who do costumes and props and all kinds of things in the industry. IATSE, whether or not they go on strike, there's your real wealth of your movie making, the below the line people who used to not even get their names on the credits at the end, but they were the ones who built the costumes and the props and the sets. They're the ones who loaded the cameras, developed the film, did the color grading, did the editing, all of this stuff. It's not the director saying to the actors, action and cut. It's not the actors. I mean, because we have plenty of evidence that actors are replaceable. Even writers are sometimes replaceable, which I hate to say. But the truth is, the real wealth is not generated by the guy sitting on the golden toilet saying, well, let's do this, let's do that. And we've had this conversation over and over that when the corporations realized that movies could make $1 billion, they came into the movie industry and bought up studios not to make movies, but to make money. And the great movies are always made by people who love movies. Barbie was made by someone who loved movie making, and Oppenheimer was made by Chris Nolan, who loves movies. But you look at Dino De Laurentiis made that god-awful King Kong with Jessica Lange, which was just a dreadful movie. He wasn't interested in making a movie. He was interested in how much money can I make by remaking King Kong. And I know, because I met Dino a couple times, Dino De Laurentiis, and he never talked about, I love this idea. He talked about how much money he was going to make. Somebody asked him, are you going to use stop motion animation in this new King Kong? And whatever it is, we're going to use it. We're going to be a big movie. We make a lot of money. It's like, oh God, thanks, Dino. And of course, the picture was so awful that I think it was, who was it?
David?
The guy who played the ape, and I keep forgetting his name, great special effects guy, refused to accept didn't want to accept the Oscar for it. Oh, look who just showed up.
Hey, can you hear me?
I missed the panel yesterday. You could have we were just talking economy.
We hear you.
All right, great. Hi. Sorry I'm late.
It's all right.
I moved time zones. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. How's Becky doing? She okay?
She's
Sorry,
good.
Jim.
Good.
You can't use that excuse. David already used it.
Yeah, David missed a panel yesterday, and I missed the beginning of the podcast this morning. So
we're okay.
By God, we're a pair, aren't we?
Yes, we are. I was at a Star Trek thing at Ticonderoga last week, and Walter Keating and I were standing at the snack table, and he says, I can't have that, I'm diabetic. And I says, well, I can't have that because I'm hypoglycemic. So together we cancel each other out.
That's right. Drank a glass of water and had a high five.
Yeah, we each had a glass of water, yeah.
Yeah.
So, is Becky okay this morning?
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Good.
For those that are joining the podcast, my wife was kind of under the weather yesterday a little bit. I was myself right before we got to Yellowstone here a few days ago. So we might have picked up something in our travels, but it was pretty minor. It's past us now. So anyway, my wife's downstairs doing something. So anyway, lost in a con, in a science fiction con in Missoula, Montana. I'm sure she'll find something to do, or somebody will find her. I don't know. So. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I was just doing your rant. I was ranting that when the working class is making money, the corporations thrive. When the billionaires start looting the economy, everybody gets hurt. And if corporations really wanted to get rich, they would make sure that their employees are getting a fair wage, a living wage, because if you're getting a living wage, you can buy a TV and a car and put money away for retirement and so on. But if you're starving your employees, they're not going to have the money to buy your products. Henry Ford was a genius in one respect. He said, we're going to pay our workers $5 an hour so they can buy our cars.
They can buy our cars, exactly.
You guys remember the Johnny Paycheck song, Take This Job and Shove It?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I do, yeah.
You know?
I think my dad listened to that song over and over.
Yeah, my boss is an asshole, but I'm self-employed, so what am I going to do about that?
Well, one of the lines in there about making enough money to buy the kind of crap they make us build.
Right. So he said, I obviously don't have Florida internet today. Is it good? I'm on the hotel's Wi-Fi, so yeah. So hopefully it's pretty good. We've got David and I both have a panel here in about a half an hour, so
we have a panel.
Wait, what? Yeah, we have a panel.
No, our panel is. Oh yeah, our panel's at 11.
At 11, yeah, we got a panel in about half an hour. So, but it's being run. It's being run by Justin, so he talks even more than we do. So I'm sure he can handle it until we get there. You're closer to it. You're 4 stories closer to it than I am. It's right outside the back door there, and I'm up on the 4th floor at the moment.
Dealer's table. I have had no customers this morning. They're all sleeping late.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow morning. I walked down the road to get a cup of coffee and some breakfast. So it's a little grim here in Missoula. It's kind of gray and bleak, but it's supposed to get better. We're missing you, Bob. People asking about your books. I got nothing to give them. You're not here. Well,
I am so sorry. I just I could not deal with another weekend of elevator doors open. And
I've lost my patience twice at this convention. So
we have David's most recent submission to us coming out in Madam President, and we got several more books we're trying to get ready to get out, and so I had to make a tough decision. Allow you two to be on your own in Missoula, Montana, or
somebody thinks that we're David and I are a couple or something because we're on every panel together. It's a lot of fun.
Hey,
I'm sorry, Jim, but I don't mess around with married men.
That's right. Neither do I. So we got that in common. But, So David, I think David and I are on practically. There are a couple panels we've got separate, but I think we're practically on every panel. So you missed last night. Last night's panel. The one you missed was "Will Technology Save the World?" That was a pretty grim room. So she probably did good. Probably did good not being there.
Jim Wright's going to be at MisCon. I said, "Oh yeah, great, I'll come." And they said, all right, great. We'll bring you into MisCon too. They definitely think we're a pair.
Yeah, they do.
You guys beating the drum on telling people to get their ass out and vote?
Oh, you bet. You bet. In fact, we had a long conversation. In fact, I've had a number of panels that all come back to basically being a better citizen and get off your ass and get out there and do what needs to be done to save the country. And so but you're kind of preaching to the crowd in a convention like MisCon because these people are all pretty motivated and they don't need to be told to vote. They're the people that will be most directly affected if the vote goes the wrong way. They'll be the people that lose their rights, that get hurt, that get rounded up and put in some goddamn camp that this asshole keeps talking about. And so these people are already pretty motivated, but it doesn't hurt to keep reminding people how damn important it is. But my experience here at the con with these wonderful people is that they're pretty damn motivated already, and so that's good, and that's great to hear. Missoula's kind of an interesting place. I sat in a diner this morning having breakfast with my wife, and Fox News was on the TV in the diner, and I don't know, they had some blonde vapid, she might as well just be AI. I think she might have had 6 fingers. I don't know, but they were talking about they were talking about Joe Biden's economy, and everybody in the diner, it's Missoula, Montana, everybody in the diner was rolling their eyes. So I don't know who the hell that channel was for in the diner in Missoula, Montana, but even the guys wearing cowboy hats were like, yeah, So, and I do. I really enjoyed getting up this morning, flipping on the news, and seeing the libertarians boo Trump off the stage. I got to tell you, even if they are libertarians, and the thing is though, and it's like I said online this morning, don't get too wrapped up in that because libertarians will boo anybody. They hate everybody, including themselves. But on the other hand, it's goddamn nice to see the look on Trump's face as he get booed off the stage. He only lasted 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, what did he do? He went in there and basically said, assumed that they were going to vote for him.
You got to realize how desperate he is that he's looking for votes among the libertarians.
And that's exactly it right there. That's the real intelligence indicator right there. Because first of all, libertarians generally don't vote anyway. If they do, they vote for some goof like Jill Stein that doesn't have a chance in hell. And so you're preaching to a barn full of feral cats when you show up at a libertarian convention. Half of them aren't going to vote anyway. They're going to be in a bunker somewhere on election day, clutching their fucking guns and their beef jerky. And you can take that last comment about clutching their beef jerky any way that you like. But the bottom line is you got to be damn desperate to show up as a mainstream party candidate at a libertarian convention and tell those people to vote for you. You just got. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They would have booed. They would have booed Joe Biden too. So
Well, but you look at what he said. He says you can have 3% of the vote like you always get, or you can vote for me. He was calling them losers and asking for the vote.
Now, let me make a point for David here. And I don't remember if it was David or Jim or both of you guys.
Smoking weed and drinking their own pee. I love that comment. That's exactly a true statement.
You remember when Nikki Haley was coming out and everybody was like, oh, yeah, she may. And I think it was one or both of you guys were saying, hey, don't believe the BS. This woman is just every bit as much of a conservative asshole as any of the other ones. And
she was never going to vote for anybody. She was never going to vote or support anybody but Donald Trump. And again, Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, the list goes on. They did nothing but badmouth this guy, talk shit about him. He's the worst thing in the world. God damn, he's destroying the country. And then when the crunch comes, they're all like, well, I support him. And that's what happens when you're in a cult. That's what happens when your politics become a cult. They don't give a their problem is that Trump is their key to power. As long as Joe Biden is the president or any other Democrat is the president, and as long as Congress is a majority Democrat, which is there's a very good possibility that's what will happen this time. These people are marginalized. They can't as a governor of a state. They have certain powers, but as long as the president is the opposition party, those powers are limited. And that's exactly what they're looking at. This is not about ideology. It's not about rights. It's not about even political power or political ideology. It's about staying the fuck in power, about hanging on and being in control. And that's what matters to them. That's all that matters to them. Lindsey Graham, you look at Lindsey Graham is classic. The guy's like a fucking remora latched on the back end of a shark. He doesn't give a shit who the shark is. As long as he can ride, he rode John McCain, he'll ride Donald Trump. He doesn't give a shit. The guy doesn't have any integrity, morality, or ideology at all other than just staying in power. That's it. That's the total thing right there.
Yeah, he's Lindsey Graham.
You look at Ted Cruz. I mean, Donald Trump.
You know what you're reminding me of?
Go ahead.
You're reminding me of high school politics. You have a high school student body president, and you have the clique that wants to be, and it doesn't matter because most of all, they're limited by the structure, what you can do in high school. Problem is in Washington, D.C., you get to make a lot of the rules, and they're making rules to benefit themselves. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just another high school clique with too much power.
Yeah. And that's who these people are. These people were the shitty bullies in every high school that you've ever been in. These are the jocks and just the shitty ass bullies that were their daddy was a lawyer or an airline pilot or something. They never had to do anything. They were always the guy that was you see these people. These are the ones that when the military shows up or the government shows up at your high school and they're handing out scholarships, these are the ones that don't need it, but they're the ones that are always going to get it. And it's the ones that actually need it that are down here that are busting their ass, that have decent grade point averages, that are trying to earn their way out of poverty. They never get anything. And it's always these assholes whose daddy bought him a goddamn Camaro, they're always going to go to, these fuckers were always going to go to Harvard. They were always going to get a law degree. They were always Matt Gaetz. And these are the sons of bitches that when they show up and they start handing out the goddamn scholarships, these are the guys that always get it. That's who they are. And they were always the shitty goddamn bullies that that always picked on everybody else, but only when nobody in power was looking. And so everybody thought they were the greatest people. They're the valedictorians, and everybody talks nice about them at the end. They got the pretty hair and the nice suits. And then they go on to be these shitty ass people in government. And that's who they are. They have never, people like Nikki Haley have never had to earn a fucking thing in their damn life. They've never had to actually be genuinely decent to anybody. And so when they wind up in this situation here, they're Trump. That's Trump. When Trump actually is treated like everybody else, he sees it as oppression, as he's being bullied. And that's exactly how these people are. These people see every time somebody else gets something, in their minds, they get less, because equality, justice, liberty, rights are all zero-sum games to them. And the only way they can feel good about themselves if everybody else is kept down in the shit.
Yeah.
You know, and that's who these people are. And if you want to live in a country like that, then by all means, stay the fuck home come November. But if you're tired of this nonsense, you need to show the hell up. And if you don't like the choices, well, welcome to being an adult, because a lot of times as an adult, you got choices. Neither one of them are what you wanted, but you still have to choose.
There's an example.
Choose for you.
There's an example. You're on an airplane and they come by with the meal cart. And
Right. That one.
And they ask you, you know, do you want the day-old chicken or do you want a plate of fried shit with broken glass in it? Right. And you ask, how's the chicken prepared?
How's the chicken cooked? Yeah, and that's exactly. I forget who said that originally, but that's such a great line, and it's absolutely true, because that's what people are doing. They're standing out here on the corner talking about, well, you know, I'm not getting everything. I'm mad about Gaza. I'm mad about this. I'm mad about that. And these are the same people that voted enthusiastically for Barack Obama, and then 2 years later said, well, Obama didn't give me all the ponies and the magic clowns that I wanted, so I'm not going to show up, and I'm going to deliberately hamstring him by letting Congress flip Republican, because that'll show him. And then 2 years later, they were all fucking madder than hell. God damn it, why is he not doing anything? You deliberately hobbled this guy with this shitty goddamn Tea Party Congress, and then you're mad that he can't get anything done. And they were so appalled and offended by that they all showed up in droves, reelected Obama, and then 2 years later, handed him a goddamn Republican Congress again.
Yeah, if you're looking at the comments, Fred Eater said a great one. He says, it's not a marriage, it's a bus stop. I can get a little closer with a bus stop going in the right direction, even if it doesn't take me directly to where I want to go. Yeah, it's, you know, nobody's getting a pony. At best, we can get a plow horse. Great. You know what? The crops have to get in. Vote for the plow horse.
You got to get in. And like I said, Biden's not everything that I want, but he's a hell of a lot better than the alternative. And again, I will say this, and I will remind people, 4 years ago, a hell of a lot of people, and again, I realize I'm preaching to an audience that already knows all of this stuff anyway, but maybe this thing will get recorded and somebody that doesn't know will watch it. But 4 years ago, people said, liberals, to a person said, anybody but Trump. I'll vote for a ham sandwich with rancid mayonnaise as long as it ain't Trump. Well, congratulations, Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is far more than a rancid sandwich, but Biden is not Trump. That's what you wanted, and Biden's doing a damn good job of being not Trump.
Biden is doing a job every bit as remarkable as Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Right, he's doing
FDR
great.
got us out of the Great Depression, and it was a lot of hard work. And where we were when in 2020 with what Trump had left us poorer, sicker, and weaker, and with an incredibly backbreaking national debt. And Biden has given us a steadily improving economy for 4 years. And so clearly he is doing some great work. And
He's doing some great stuff. And I will also say
he's
this.
not getting the love for it, which is, and I blame Fox News and the Republican propaganda machine, because any other president who's accomplished this much, we would be planning to this where we're going to put the statues to it.
Now, I will say this, though. If they elect Trump and they put up a statue to Trump, I definitely want it to be that Trump, the Trump dance. That he's pulling the giant udders. That's what I want him to do.
If they put up a statue to Trump, the pigeons are going to have to get out of my way.
Oh yeah, because we'll all be down there shitting on it. But for God's sake, did you see this shit last night? I don't get this. You're watching this guy. If nothing else, vote for Biden, because Biden has never stood in front of the TV cameras and done the Trump dance. Okay, for the love of God,
the Trump dance is going to be a fad. I just know it. You're going to see it at the clubs. The kids are going to say, "Yeah, we'll do the Trump dance," but not because they respect him, because they're making fun. So we used to do the same thing when I was going to the clubs.
Sorry.
I fully expect to see Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Nikki Haley all down at the club. That's just, my God, what is that? It is a stiff-legged. What is that? It's so bizarre.
Well, that's the best you could do with the with the industrial strength the pins on. They kind of limit your motion.
God, I don't know what is. He does it all the time. And then the thing is, like last night, if you were watching it last night, he does the thing, and he like moves that one leg back and forth, and then he stops, and when he's done, he looks around, and then he goes, and they all cheer him like that. Like that's the thing.
Like
Joe Cool.
That shows how physically able he is.
Fuck is that? It's so bizarre. If Biden did that,
Fox News
Newsmax would devote 48 hours to Alzheimer's experts. For God's sake, man, it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. You can't have that. You can't have the president of the United States. I could see him, making a presentation in front of the United Nations. What the hell is that?
Joe Biden had one of the greatest quotes of the entire campaign. It deserves a lot. He says, "Donald Trump is a sore loser."
Right.
He's also just a loser.
He's a sore winner too. The guy was this when he won in 2016, and whether he won or not, but when he took the White House in 2016, he was the sorest winner I have ever seen in my life. The guy's just a sore ass. That's what he is. He's a vindictive shit who's determined to get even with the whole goddamn world. Hell, 2 days ago he was talking about, and I don't have it in front of me, but his whole bit was he was talking about how hot he thought he was. Some people say I'm hot. I'm pretty hot. I've been told I'm hot. I was pretty hot when I was young. What do you say? I was hotter than a pistol or something. I'm like, the fuck are you talking to? Who are you talking to, man? Jesus Christ. Every woman that has ever been with us, including his current wife. I mean, I think you could get his goddamn current wife to say that. Jesus, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but I've never heard a president on television bragging about how good looking he thinks he is. What the hell? It's so bizarre. And you got half the goddamn country going, well, he kind of is good looking. What the hell? I don't know. Maybe there's lead in the water.
He has an endorsement from the late great Hannibal Lecter. So.
Yes.
God, that was. I mean, it's like you keep thinking this is the one that people are going to say the man is crazy. I can't vote for him, and we've been doing that ever since he mocked the disabled reporter. But no, whatever he does, it's just the man is coated in Teflon or something.
It's absolutely bizarre. The ends that the media will bend over on this guy, and that people will go that otherwise, whether you like them or not, but seemingly initially rational politicians will sell their integrity down to the river for this guy.
How anybody could be so stupid as to think this man will be good for them, for the country, let alone them. It's like, and there was a woman who said, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for Trump and I give her credit. But what she said next was chilling. She said, because he didn't hurt the people he was supposed to.
Right.
She voted for him. She wanted him to hurt people. And I think
That's exactly right.
Motivation for a lot of his supporters. We want him to hurt the people we hate.
Right, and that's exactly correct. And like I said, you've heard me say this before on this podcast. I live in the Panhandle of Florida, and I talk to people, and I said, "Look, what has this guy done for you? This guy lives in you live in a shack. This guy lives in a goddamn palace with his name on the side of it, golden letters, and shits in one of Saddam Hussein's golden toilets. What do you think this guy's doing for you?" And the answer is, I don't care. He makes you mad, and so that's good enough for me. And I can't understand that mentality of that selfish, self-centered. We don't give a shit if the whole world burns down as long as it sticks it to you, as long as it makes you mad. These people, like I said, they will destroy civilization, and then they will squat in their bunkers in the goddamn dark and shit on their own damn shoes in the dark.
The wrong people. They will say,
right.
Look at what the liberals did to us.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And it's incredible what's happened in this country, because this country's always been a bunch of selfish dicks. I grant you that, but they weren't the majority. But it seems like half of the country, if not better nowadays, is this mentality of there's this nasty, angry, lowest common denominator. They're shouting each other on reality TV.
It's Fox News. When Ronald Reagan was president, he gave Rupert Murdoch fast track to citizenship so that he could set up Fox News, the worst propaganda network we have ever had in this country. And Fox News made deals to put their channels on, wherever you go, whatever restaurant or bar or whatever, they're getting Fox News for free. And we have just had this constant, steady drip, drip, drip of Fox noise ever since Ronald Reagan, and it has pushed what they call the Overton window. It's pushed our culture to the right, and so, and Fox News broadcasts hate. They are hate mongers. They are. It's never about it's about who we're going to destroy.
And I think it definitely started there, but I think it's being amplified now by social media. There are obviously agents, and I can tell based on my background, and I know how silly that sounds, but you can look at social media and you can see bad actors at work, and whether those are domestic or foreign, it probably doesn't matter much. But these people have an agenda to continue. The weaker America is, the more divided and hateful. The dumber our leaders are, the better it is for certain parties elsewhere in the world, and even here in the United States of America.
China, Saudi Arabia, and Russia all want to reduce our power in the world, and they will support people who will keep us divided and ignorant.
Right, but so will corporate America, because the last thing that the billionaires want is someone like Amazon. Jeff Bezos sure as hell doesn't want a unified electorate that decides that they're going to tax billionaires and limit the power of corporations. And the best thing that ever happened to these people was Citizens United, where we decided that corporations were people. And at the same time, the other thing that happened with that is we made dark money legal via PACs and super PACs. And so now you don't even know who's funding your candidates. Hey, I'm going to have to unplug, because I've got to be at a panel. David's right there. David's right outside the back door, but I've got to cut down 4 stories in the world's slowest elevator. So I'm going to have to unplug and run for this panel that they're paying me to be at. And I will.
Me too.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
We'll see you in a minute, Jim. Pick me up on your way out.
I will do.
I wanted to add something in. Okay.
See you later.
Bye-bye. I think that. Have you looked at all at the new farm bill that's out?
Are you kidding? I haven't even looked at. I don't read the news anymore. I get to. It's like if I want bad news, I can look in the mirror. Okay.
Well, the farm bill. For somebody,
I have not had a chance.
It is one of those annual, every year, got to be passed, can't fail legislation, because still 60% of the farms in the country are smaller farms. Uh, but if you look at the provisions in there, it is a microcosm of every reason why Trump is running and why, when we are not running in a world where we're running against Trump. We're running against every special interest that gets a benefit from Trump. We're running against every business that wants to end climate regulations. We're running against every business that wants to reduce worker safety, every business that wants to end environmental regs.
Yeah, Bob,
It
I gotta split. I gotta go be on the same panel with Jim. So
Okay,
look
well,
at the farm
David,
bill.
thank
We'll talk
you.
about it next month or whatever.
Oh, and that's okay. We'll get to there. And I want to thank you again because I'm going to take your comments about my editorship and put it on a loop. Uh,
All
and,
right.
and you
Okay.
take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Oh, Lord, the Trump dance. Well, I've let them go, and I'm going to give you guys just about a small break on what's coming up. Other than the fact that I do believe if you look at what's going on, remember, Trump is just the idiot front man for a powerful group of people that want to end workers' rights. They want to end citizens' rights. They want to end voting rights. They want to end environmental regulation. They want to end anything that is for the benefit of anybody but the rich and powerful corporations. And I say that unambiguously. And I think something that David Gerrold, or I mean, no, Jim Wright posted, I believe, that says, you know, I don't fear the civil war or the violence that might occur if Trump loses. I fear the death camps that will happen if Trump wins. And that's something worth remembering. Now, just to catch you up, BQ Presses, we got delayed when I had to have bought a house, moved, flooring, twice refloored the house, uh, everything going busy. But we have been, with the patience of our editors, we have been getting ourselves back going. We are actively reading and editing and getting Scott's Planet out. You may remember Scott's Planet is a wonderful story about a planet that's stuck kind of in the Carboniferous era that has some colonists from Earth on it that have been abandoned by the government. Who would have thought? Actually, by the corporations. Scott's Planet's going to be out in a couple months here, and it's going to be great. We got, you remember we started off with Alternative Truths. Well, we now have Alternative Truth Southern Edition, and I want to tell you it's going to be a great book. We are working it over, and we have got Lou J. Berger in there. We have got Jim Wright. I'm not Jim Wright, but David Gerrold in there. We've got Adam Troy Castro in there. We are excited about what a bunch of great quality stories that Karen Anderson and I are working to get into a book form, and that'll be out well before the election. So BQ Press is staying at it, and so you stay with us, and I want to thank you guys all for being there, and take care. Bye-bye.